Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In our broadcast tonight on Tough Talking Thursday, we'll be talking about the CDC, President Weah and his re-election bid. My guest is the chairperson of CDC USA, Madam Constance Duopu. Constance, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much. Let me make some correction. My name is Constance Weah. Weah,
Constance,
Duopu, Weah.
thank you for that correction. That's Constance Duopu. She is the
Correct.
chairperson of CDC USA. Again, Constance, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you for
I
having me.
also have uh, FOL political analyst who is based in Philadelphia. He's a proud alumni of Waplo Institute all the way in Kilipo River G. Mr. Sherif, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Dennis, it's always good to be here.
We also want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Later on, if time permits, Mr. Kunney is trying to join us. That's our chief political analyst. He's in Monrovia. He is going to be joining us. And if there's time, Fahnbulleh, our policy analyst, will also be joining us. We at Focus on Liberia, to start the show tonight, we have pretty bad news. Our own man, Edward Doe. Edward Doe, we regret to announce that Mr. Edward Doe has passed away. Mr. Doe is a big part of us here.
First, with the CPP chairmanship. As I always,
Mr. Doe was a co-host of On Point. He started with Mr. Jerome Gilman. And so let's take a listen when Mr. Doe was here at Focus on Liberia co-hosting On Point. All right, we're gonna bring you that.
long track record has been very critical of corruption. He's against people like Chambers, the Weah administration. He called upon them about corruption. So for him to support, the chairmanship of Mr. Belletti, that was very much stunning to me. Now let's go to the chairmanship of CPP. The CPP chairmanship, I barely can pronounce her name. Nomble and Kanika, she's fit to be the.
That was the voice of Mr. Edward Doe. According to family sources, Mr. Edward Doe passed away this week, and our hearts go out to Mr. Doe and Mr. Doe's family, his mom, his sibling, his wife, and all his friends and loved ones that he left behind. We at FOL, we are saddened. Again, Mr. Doe was a co-host of On Point, as you can see on the screen. He co-hosted On Point with Mr. Jerome Gilman, as you can see right there in studio. Either he was hosting or he was a guest right here at Focus on Liberia. On behalf of all of us here at Focus on Liberia, I want to say sorry to the family, and we are in prayers with them. Again, our guest, Madam Constance Duopu, and Mr. Sherif, once again, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. All right. We're going to get the ball rolling here. Let's begin with our guest here. Madam Constance Duopu, we say welcome again. Congratulations on your election as the chair lady of CDC USA. How does it feel being the chair of the ruling party in the diaspora?
Oh, I feel honored At the same time, humbled that I was elected amongst so many qualified persons. So it's an honor to serve my people.
Thank you. Let's go into it. Quite recently, this week, pictures of President Weah in new is they call it President Weah's new toy. It came up. Take a look. So we see pictures of the president in his customized slingshot, a luxury tricycle. It has gone viral on social media. We remember the president's private jet that was quote unquote given to him by his friend to boost his morale. We also remember his many condominiums completed in less than a year after he took office. So, Constance, the president is boiling, right? Is that a concern?
The president, his name is a household name. So even if he sneezes, people will look, and they will run with it. The president, before he became president of the Republic of Liberia, he was a celebrity and is still a celebrity. And for people to parade his, whatever he has bought for himself or as a gift on Facebook is not strange because we know that the president is well liked by so many Liberians. He's a grassrooter, the grassrooter following him. So I think it is not a bad thing. I see people running all over, but if you look at it, you, Dennis, after working through all the year, it's Christmas, people will give you presents, and you will give yourself a present at the end of the day if you're somebody who loves to, reward yourself after working for almost 12 months. So I find it very funny when I see people writing men like I think Jesse on Facebook. I mean, it's just funny to me because I don't see anything wrong with you receiving a present or buying something for yourself at the end of the year. It's Christmas season, so
Right. And
it's not
Constance,
concerning to me.
Mrs.
And
Duopu, let
shouldn't
me
be
show you the
concerning
pictures.
to anyone.
We we see that the president on the left there. You see the president with the toy airplane. We also see the president bottom right. You see his plane that was given to him to boost his morale. We talk about his condominium. So some in Liberia call it opulence. Is the president living a lavish lifestyle based on what we see?
No, this president came from nowhere. He became wealthy. He's the world best, and he lived that life. So becoming president, he even put a lot at stake. He risked his everything he accomplished in his life. He put it at risk by running to become president of the Republic of Liberia. So by him living is nothing strange. It's not a Liberian people money. He earned money for himself. He made meme of himself. You said no, he brought Liberia on the world map when nobody knew, us in soccer. So it's nothing concerning for me, and it shouldn't be concerning for the Liberian people. The only people who are running around and saying he's living an opulous life are those opposition defeated people who will not make anything come 2023. They are trying to use this to look for, attention, and we can see right now they are already crumbling on their feet. When even President Weah has not even declared his intention for 2023.
Mr. Sherif, JFK, we heard on the news, had no water. Tottenham High is run down. The University of Liberia is struggling to keep its door open, and you can see the field. Is the president, with what we see, with the pictures I show you, is the president putting his interest above that of the people?
Well, first, Dennis, let me, as I did on the last show, let me comment on some pressing issues that's going on, and I'll get back to your question. And that is that the political leader of the Liberty Party attempted a sort of a civilian coup d'etat in his own political party, and that has to be concerning for the Liberian people. We always talk about, you know, there's a lot of times there's condemnation when the military take action against the civilian government. Although the Liberty Party is not in office at this time, and this is not a military situation. However, I was concerned as someone who follows the Constitution and someone who is an advocate of, you know, law and order, for the leader of the Liberty Party to come out and say that, you know, I am going to dissolve. I have now dissolved the Constitution of 2015, and we're going to go back to status quo ante. To me, the Liberian people, regardless of what side of the fence you sit on, should be outraged. If George Weah did this, you will hear from me tonight. I will be outraged. If George Weah says, by the way, the election of 2005 and the election of 2011 are all annulled, null and void, because I believe Ellen Johnson Sirleaf didn't win. So we're going to take that off the record. We will be outraged, and people will be talking about this all over the place. I just want to set the groundwork there. Maybe I will elaborate further later on during the show. So to answer your question, yes, this president is living a life of luxury. This slingshot, as it's called, is a combo motorcycle and a race car. Dennis, it's not too expensive though. It's in a neighborhood of probably, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but you know, I asked around. They should be in the neighborhood of 30 grand. So, in the grand scheme of things, from you know the airplane to the condominiums, the properties that he has amassed since he took office, this is a drop in the bucket, a drop in the ocean, I should say. This is nothing compared to what this president has done. People should be outraged. People should already be outraged. Not outraged over something that costs less than $100,000, less than $50,000. People should be outraged because this president has been very corrupt. The president has not declared his financial assets. From what we know is that the president was broke by the time he took office, and now he's the wealthiest man in Liberia. That can't happen. Where can that happen? It's in Liberia. Something that I think that we can talk about a little bit is the fact that Prince Johnson is the victim of the Magnitsky Act, when you have other people who should also be included in this sort of a ban by the United States government. So the president is the leader of, you know, the corrupt gang around him and his administration.
And Constance, I know you want to respond to that, but let me add something more. Some may say that the president's salary, the benefits, and the budgetary allotment, that's enough money to buy whatever he wants. But looking at how the people are suffering, looking at I listed some of the rundown institutions, things are breaking down. Do you think the president, you know, the optics from what he's doing, don't you think that sent a message to the people that he doesn't care?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. Oh, because you, Dennis, you run this show, you have children. If your children are not doing well, it doesn't mean that you don't care. It doesn't mean you don't try to empower your children or it doesn't mean that you show a blind eye on the situation. We know there are people who are medical doctors, lawyers. Their kids are not doing well, not because the parent don't do a lot, not because the parent didn't invest in them. Sometimes it's based on the choices that people make. Okay, you talk about buildings. When we go back to Todma, what did Todma do in Liberia? When I see all the hearings in Harris's running around here, when you hear about President Weah and making comparison, when you go to Liberia now and see the developmental projects that are going on by the president, what did all these other people do? Ellen Johnson won all the prices you can think about. Now somebody is putting what on Prince Johnson. When you gave Ellen Johnson Nobel Peace Prize, you gave her all the paths you can give her. You say she's the best president, and you're going to say you're going to do what to Prince Johnson. This is really ridiculous. That tells you that Liberian people, we don't like true patriots. We don't like to be honest. When people are honest, we always, it's the crap mentality that I see in most of the Liberians and most of these Facebook politicians. Sherry, I'm very sorry to say that you did not do your work, your homework good for you to come on the platform and say, my president, the president of the Republic of Liberia, is corrupt. That is not true. I would like you to go back and do your research. The last I checked, when we say who building roads in Liberia, who building low-income homes in Liberia in the rural area, is President Weah. Not Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, not Tauber, not Totmer. When they build their homes, it was only people who have money that live in those homes. And Dennis, I will bring you back. You talk about the University of Liberia is down. The president appointed someone who is competent and capable of running the University of Liberia. I think it's the president's responsibility of the University of Liberia to see and come to terms and put his people to work and do what he can do to move the university forward. When he was appointed, by now the university should not be looking the way it was. When I'm giving a job, when I move in a house, I try to clean it. I try to come up with ideas to do things. The president was elected. You see, he said road connectivity, that was his dream. He's working on it. When they appointed the president of the University of Liberia, Dr. Nessie, he should have had something that he wanted to work on. That's not the president of the Republic of
we have some trouble there, but Constance, there is no money in the budget for renovation last year. But we're having some trouble there with Mrs. Duopu's connection. Mr. Sherif, you can chime in and respond to Constance if you have any.
Yeah, Mrs. Duopu, why I respect her opinion to support.
action.
All right. Your connection there, we lost you a little bit, Constance, so you can complete your thoughts.
Yes, you said there was no money in the budget for renovation. There were other things in the budget he has to prioritize. That's not an excuse. If you did it, you bought a horse or you were given an assignment, you have your priorities, you got to set them straight. I find it very, very disturbing when I see people casting blame on the president when the president is now running all these entities. There are people he believes in or division of labor. If you are given a piece of job, you should do your job. It's not the president who's going to go to the University of Liberia and say, come, let us take the brooms and go clean up. Let us go paint. No, it's not the president's job.
Thank you.
That's not his job.
Yeah, while I respect Mrs. Duopu's defense of is understandable. Her defense of the CDC government is understandable, but that doesn't erase the fact that the leader of the CDC, who is the president of the Republic of Liberia, is very corrupt. The president has not been able to carry on development programs in the interest of the Liberian people because he's having a difficulty divorcing personal gains from, carrying out programs that will benefit the broad masses of the Liberian people. For example, Right now, it's impossible to go to Grand Creek County. Grand Creek County is where the president has his roots. It's impossible to go from Monrovia to Grand Jetta to Maryland County to Grand Creek County. You will spend days, if not weeks, just trying to travel on a road network that should take you anywhere from 6 to 7 hours, 8 hours the most. It's impossible. So the president has been in office for over 2 years, for several years now, and he hasn't been able to do that. The fact that he hasn't been able to do that calls into question his ability to be able to carry out development projects, development programs in the Republic of Liberia, a very small country, a very old country that should set the example for the rest of Africa. When you look at the University of Liberia right now, university teachers were just on strike the other day, and the students joined in the strike because of not getting their pay that they worked hard for. And so these things are not acceptable. When you look at a president who ran on making change or bringing about changes, although I didn't believe any word he said, because as I said one time on this show, all of what, the president's pronouncement, all of his pronouncement during the campaign were all written for him. They were not necessarily something that he believed in.
Thank you, Mr. Sherif. We're having trouble there. Did we lose you?
I can hear you, Dennis.
Yeah, go ahead, complete your thoughts. I think we lost Constance.
Right. So that was kind of my conclusion there, that he hasn't been able to carry out developments. Yes, he's very corrupt, and these are the points that I continue to make. They're not just out of the figment of mine or anyone else's imagination to say that the president is very corrupt. By his own admission, when he served as a senator for Montserrado County, he didn't have enough money. He had about $50,000 in his bank account. As far as I know, $50,000 is not going to carry on all of the projects that he engaged in immediately after the election. $50,000 is not going to charter an airplane for you. $50,000 is not going to enable you to travel across the length and breadth of the world, or across West Africa, just to party around.
Mr. Sherif, like the question I asked, if you look at the president's salary, you look at the benefits, you look in the budget and see how much is a portion for the president's office, that's enough to buy him anything. So in a sense, this is legal stuff.
No, I mean, it's not enough to cover all of your expenditure. I don't think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. It is not enough to cover all of your expenditures. When you talk about traveling around the world, traveling to West African countries to party around, building properties all over the place. He has properties in the United States. He has properties all over the country. It's not enough. The question is, if it's not enough, where is he getting the additional resources to enable him and his family to live the life of luxury? And I will counter that, Dennis, putting that in the budget. I don't know what it is. I don't know what his current salary is as president of the Republic of Liberia. But putting all of this stuff that's put in the budget, says to me, you mentioned the other day, show me your budget. That's something, I'm just paraphrasing something you said. Show me your budget and I'll tell you who you are. So as a human being, as a family, as a country, show me your budget and I'll show you your priority. if your budgetary allotment is to give the Minister of State millions of dollars for scholarships, for scholarships and other things, if your budget is giving the First Lady millions of dollars for her foundation, if your budget is giving the former president millions to for their nonprofit, then are you very serious about elevating or improving the living condition of the Liberian people? And my answer to that is no. So these guys are not serious, and they know it, but they think the rest of us don't know it, and they're taking the Liberian people for a ride. So someone like Mr. Duopu, will come on the show and defend, this kind of thing that's going on, as if the rest of us don't know. But we are aware of what's going on. There's a whole lot of us that are aware of what's going on, and it's not acceptable. But the sad reality is, what is your alternative? And that, I think, is a question that collectively that the Liberian people need to answer.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing the CDC, President Weah, and his re-election efforts for 2023. My guest is Mrs. Constance Duopu. She's the chair lady of CDC USA. But we just lost Constance, but we're going to continue. Constance, if you're watching, please make some effort and rejoin. The United States government, through the Magnitsky Act, has indirectly, Mr. Sherif, indicted the president and his government of being in cahoot with Senator Prince Johnson, the former warlord, in a few things. Number one, pay to play, money laundering, selling of votes, and earning an undeserved salary. This to me is an indirect way of saying, because they did not talk about those who are helping Mr. Johnson in these efforts, or the partners in these practices. That being said, let's see, Constance is coming back. My question to you is, do you think the sanctions of Prince Johnson are just a stepping stone to get to the government and other big players?
One would hope, and that it is an opening to getting to the big players, as you mentioned, or sometimes that could very well be the end, because we've seen that time and time and again, where the United States administration has been reluctant to go after certain people for whatever reason. They can go after certain targets. And then on the other hand, they're reluctant to pursue others. And I'm telling you, it's all based on the United States national interest. So the United States, for the most part, if you follow United States foreign policy, the United States is going to do what is in the best interest of the United States of America. So it is up to the Liberian people to do what is in Liberia's interest.
Right.
So
and
you're
that's
not going
what
to sit around. We're not going to sit around and consistently depend on the United States to do for us what we can do for ourselves. So
right.
if Prince Johnson
and Mr. Sherif, sorry to cut you off, but that's what I'm asking. Is it just trying to, as we say in Liberia, throw hints, or to hint us, to warn us that, hey, this is what the president is doing, is left with us?
Yes.
And so by sanctioning Prince Johnson, say, hey, Prince Johnson, you are selling votes, and we know who is buying votes from Prince Johnson. It started with President Sirleaf, and it continued to President Weah, right? By saying that there are ministries and organizations that are helping to pass money from the government to Prince Johnson, by saying, hey, the government is paying you a salary that you don't deserve because you provide no intelligence. So directly, they're saying, hey, the government is culpable in these things, and Liberian people beware.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's an indirect indictment of not just this administration, but the previous administration, because the United States is saying that for too long now, Mr. Johnson has been engaged in selling votes. Not just to George Weah, but Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is mentioned as well. And so, yes, it is. To me, it's a boon to the Liberian people to say, okay, what can you do now? This is what the United States has done. The United States government is not going to, I'll go back to my point. The United States government is not going to do everything for us. It's up to the Liberian people to take up the challenge of holding their officials accountable. We have officials that are not serving in the interest of the Liberian people. You go back to, say, in recent times, the impeachment of Justice Kabina Janet, where it's alleged that votes were bought so that the government's agenda of impeaching Justice Janet is accomplished. So that the impeachment, it is alleged, was accomplished through vote buying. And a supporter of the CDC mentioned counter when I brought it up, told me that this didn't just start now. Back in the Sirleaf administration, vote buying was something that went on under the leadership of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So, where do the Liberian people stand in the case of, say, Prince Johnson, in the case of senators or representatives who sell their votes? Although Mr. Johnson has countered that politics is about interest, he is absolutely right about that. Politics is about interest. What are you going to do? If the discussion is, what are you going to do for Nimba County? What are you going to do for people in my county? What are you going to do for the disadvantaged? What are you going to do for ex-fighters? What are you going to do for the educational system of the country? And on the basis of that, I can support you. If it is about that, then he will be absolutely correct to say that it is all about interest, because we see it here in the United States as well. But I don't think that it's all about that. The United States government, I believe, or I would want to believe, has enough information to make the conclusion that money, cash, has been changing hands during some of these elections.
Thank you. Let's look at, because one of the big issue here is elections. Talking about selling votes. Do you believe the United States, through its Treasury Department, is trying to, what I call, fire a warning shot that 2023 elections should be free and fair? Because selling of votes, which is a major part of it, and then putting Prince Johnson on notice, who has been a big player in these elections, is referred to as the kingmaker. Besides Monserrato, Nimba has the largest population or the electorates. So what does this say about the U.S. role or their thinking about 2023 elections?
I think that one of the things that the Biden administration is trying to signal to Liberia is that when it comes to corruption, that the United States is very serious about fighting corruption, not just in Liberia, but in other countries as well. But since we're talking about Liberia, yes, the U.S. government is signaling its intention to fight corruption and to keep the next elections clean. But I will say to you, Dennis, is whether or not Prince Johnson is sanctioned, Liberian elections have always been about politicians going out to the voters and passing out a bag of rice, T-shirts, and stuff like that. That's vote buying. So this stuff is going to continue to go on. My disappointment is that there are others, big fish, so to speak, that are still out there. It may be a warning to them, but the United States have left out some big fish, and then to me, we don't have to wait for the United States to make this kind of decision. The Liberian people can take actions on their own.
All right. Sorry about that. We are still having trouble with Constance joining. Pretty soon she's trying to join. But in the meantime, if you want to join the conversation, please call the number on your screen. It's 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. And we already having we've already had some comments. Comments are rolling in, but let's continue the conversation. Mr. Sherif, again, and we're going to come to, there are some major things happening. Talking about elections, the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission has indicted the head of the NAC and the head of the procurement department for corruption. Again, I don't know if this, because that was in the pipeline when the National Election Commissions rented some thermometers, they said, in thousands of dollars. Now they've been saying, hey, and the NEC has recommended that the head of the Election Commission be removed or be dismissed. If we look at the, remember Wanwadiki, is the president going to listen to this recommendation?
No, I mean, he's not going to listen to this recommendation. How many times we've come on this show, time and again. Remember the South Africans who came and tried to bribe an assistant in the president's office, and well, not try to bribe, but an assistant in the president's office tried to solicit bribe from the South African investors. Remember that? Remember the time that there was a managing director at the port of Buchanan who made away with some money. Remember the head of the or the deputy at the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission involved in some kind of conflict of interest. Remember all of this? Remember the whole LEC saga? Remember? I mean, so the list is so long, Dennis. You can scroll this list. If you can scroll that list, you can scroll the list from Monrovia to Calipo. That's how long the list of ills is in Liberia. So we're sitting here just talking about, now we're talking about the Elections Commission. There's something going on. So for this week, the media is going to focus on this. And then a week later, people will move on, because we live in an age of now, the immediacy. What is going on now? That's the age. So next week, there will be something else, or 3 days from now, there will be something else that will make us to forget what just happened. So the president is probably, I'm not sure though, is probably cognizant of that. He's probably sitting there saying, you know, Lido got it alone. They will soon forget. So people forget about these things, move on, and next thing you know, there's something else that comes along. So what has happened to all of those corruption sagas that ignited at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, mid-year? Nothing has happened, and nothing is going to happen. My prediction is nothing happens. The commission is going to remain intact. Sadly, for people who think that there's going to be a change, nothing is going to happen.
But Mr. Sherif, in this case, is the LACC. That is, it's not just rumors, but the LACC, that's the Anti-Corruption Commission. And integrity.
Wasn't the Anti-Corruption Commission itself engaged in some kind of corrupt act recently?
With Kunney Bala.
Where is Kunney Bala right now? Where is he? Is he been prosecuted? Is he under some kind of investigation? I mean, let's be serious about these things. There is not going to be, this is going to go away. So for me, I even find it really hypocritical on the part of the LACC to call for the resignation of the head of the Elections Commission. Where is their own deputy? What investigation is going on there? Have they called on their own head to resign? That's hypocritical. It's disingenuous at best.
All right. Let me bring in a caller here to add to the discussion, and we're still waiting for our guest, Mrs. Constance Duopu, to join the conversation. But this time, there's a caller here with area code 612. Momo Saki, you live.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to you and your panelists. I have a few questions for your panelists. I listening to him. You know, they either to say so corrupt, but to prove it, that's another thing. Mm-hmm. That's one of the problems we face in our country. Say nice, anytime we just say all person corrupt, but when you go to court to prove it, it's not corruption. It's not just by saying the person is corrupt. Now, listen to what Senior himself from the day President Weah became president. He talked about buying property. I didn't talk about property in America. I want you to please tell me if Weah became president before he owned a property in America or he owned it before he became president. That's one. My second problem is he said the president fly around Africa. My question to him, when you as a president of a nation, when you are a certain president, when you fly, is it the country that pay or you pay for it personally?
Thank you. And Momo, one way for us to know everything is for the president to declare ArcelorMittal public, and also to be transparent. If you travel or if you build this condominium, if you build this condominium, can you show us, how much was used? Can you be transparent so we can see, what you're using, how much, and where you get it from? Probably can that be another way for transparency?
For the president building a property, that's one aspect. But by traveling, we all know if you are a sitting president, for every travel you do, is paid by that country taxpayer money. It's not your personal money. That's one aspect.
Okay.
In Nigeria.
No, I get your point.
Where we so point our gun about people who so to make the law for us, we said the president declared access. I expect my brother, I think he's a Liberty partisan. He had Liberty partisan in the both legislature. I expect him to tell his partisan to say, look, we need to amend the law of declaring access that it must be public. But the law, I don't see anywhere in the law that say when you are a leader or when you are appointed or given position that you must declare access public.
Thank you.
You must declare access to LACC.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next thing, my brother is speaking of the party he's from the Liberty Party.
I'm not a member of the Liberty Party.
Hold on, Mr. Sherif. Let him continue.
In a sense, yes, a woman on chairman or rules or administration
Mr. Saki.
She has administrator.
Mr. Saki, how do you know Sherif is from Liberty Party?
They said they met with from yesterday. He's speaking. I know which are in ring from.
All right, thank you. Let me bring another caller. Thank you so much. There's a caller with a 609 area code. Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, good evening, children. This is Mr. Kinapi from Duopu.
Your name again?
Mr. Kinapi, Enrico Kinapi.
Okay, go ahead, Kinapi.
Okay, I don't know if I'm loud, so that you guys understand it, but
it could be better, but go ahead.
something last week, and I said something on the record. Now, the reason why Liberia is not progressing because we're not fair to ourselves, we could out in fact. Now, this is a man, I don't know what you get him for on your show, saying something that everybody will look at him.
Mr. Kanapi. Hold on.
All right, I'm going to be straight to the point.
No, hold on first.
Hold on, let me be straight to the
No, hold on. I will give you a chance to talk. But let us be respectful. This man, what will you say? I don't know where you get him from. So you can disagree, but state your disagreement with respect. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
I apologize for that.
Okay.
My question to him, I don't know which party he's from, but what is the platform do they have for the Liberian people saying this government is corrupt and Opon is corrupt according to him? Which party he from or whoever he was supporting, what is the platform do they have?
Thank you.
For the country and the people.
Thank you, sir. Let me let Mr. Sherif respond, and then I can bring in more color. Mr. Sherif, which party you part of, and what is the platform, among other things that have been said?
So to all the callers, to the first and the last, the previous caller there, I don't belong to any political party. I'm very independent. I think independent. The Republic of Liberia is my political party. I believe that for far too long, the Republic of Liberia has suffered under brutal dictatorships, under misadministration, government that don't care about the well-being of the Liberian people. So every time you have a new government come in, they come in with all these promises, but the sooner they get in office, the sooner they forget. Let's keep in mind, George Weah is a so-called indigenous Liberian, but look at how his administration is treating the indigenous people of that country. It is inexcusable what's going on. And you have people like the callers, the two callers, making excuses for Mr. Weah. That is also unacceptable. This is the reason why we would never have change in that country. Keep in mind, Liberia is 174 years old. This is a very, very, very old country. And the fact that the country is old, you would think that because of the age of the country, that people will learn certain things. People will learn that government is supposed to be responsive to the needs of the governed. But time and again, how many times you see people beating drums and chanting battle cries and singing behind these politicians? And when the politicians get in office, where do they get their first homes? They come to the United States. They buy homes in the United States. They go to Europe. They buy homes in Europe. And then they go to hospitals in the United States. Their medical checkups are in the United States and Europe. Or they go to Ghana. Dennis, Liberian people now are going to Ghana for treatment. JFK is now a shell of itself. So who are these people who are calling? Are they serious? These people are living here in the United States. Why aren't they back? You know what? Why aren't they back home, right? And they're making this complaint. They're not back home. They're not in Liberia for a reason. Those guys cannot go back now and live in Monrovia and live in the filth and live in a place that has been regarded as one of the dirtiest capital cities in Africa. So these guys are not going to go back there. Of course, they don't care about Liberia. They're sitting here. They're having a good time. You know, hopefully they are watching us on the big screen. You know, you get up and go to your refrigerator and get cold water. You can do whatever. You can go out without fear of, you know, being attacked by a ritualistic killer. You can come home anytime. If there's some kind of insecurity in your neighborhood, you can call the police. You're protected. So the United States has all of those in place. In Liberia, we can have that too. In Liberia, each and every Liberian deserve a share of the national cake. But the national cake is not a personal cake. This cake is in George Weah's backyard, and he's dishing out the cake to those who agree with him. Now, George Weah may not necessarily be a bad person personally. I think from what I hear, I think he has a good heart. But having a good heart and being a good leader are two different things. He is not a good leader. He may have a good heart. Dennis, I can have a good heart, but I may not be a good governor. And therefore, I cannot put myself in that position to run a country. So George Weah may have a good heart, but he's not a good leader. And that is the point. And second,
thank you.
And second, Dennis, just to close on that point, these people want evidence. The evidence is in George Weah's self-statement. He did say that when he was senator in 2014, 2015, that he was broke. George Weah said that he had $50,000 in his account. So $50,000 in your account is not going to get you all the luxury apartment. It's not going to get you a charter flight that you take to go to Ghana every now and then unannounced to visit, a significant other. I'm not going to go into those details tonight. I'm not going to do that. And you party in Nigeria. Those are not acceptable. There was another caller, and this is ridiculous. The caller says, when you fly to a foreign country, the foreign country pays your flight. Is that what he was saying? Who says that?
The country, Liberia, will pay for you.
Oh, Liberia pays for you. That is, so you're taking the taxpayers' dollars and using that to travel. You're traveling to France. You're traveling to the United States. You're traveling all over the world. When some of these travels can really be done virtually. When some of these meetings, the meetings that he attends in these foreign countries, a lot of these meetings can be done virtually now with the aid of technology.
Thank you. Let me bring two more callers. One is Mr. Keseli Dobo. Mr. Dobo, you live.
Good evening, Mr. Jai, and good evening, Sherif.
Hello, sir.
Mr. Jai, I just listened to your two previous callers. Sometimes it just saddens me. It saddens me a lot when I hear Nigerians speak the way we speak. I mean, every Liberian knows that corruption exists in Liberia. From the inception, from the foundation of Liberia, there has been corruption. Just like bringing around all the property he bought in Liberia and put them in his name. That's corruption. He used our money and put them in his name. Fast forward, without the government acquire all the wealth in Liberia and put them in his name with our money. Fast forward to present day reality, just suppose we are doing the same thing. Then I think young people sitting there and asking for evidence. The Buchanan Port manager who just ran away from Buchanan Port admitted to the act of corruption. Just recently, the water and sewer managing director, former managing director Duana, admitted to the act of corruption. He even called the president's name. The party chairman, Mohamed Molu, admitted that there is rampant corruption in the government. And they go on naming them countless. The Chrome report admitted and told the government to do further investigation. Has the government done that? Not all Liberians.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Daba.
It's so sad, man. It is very sad. And until we can change your mindset to start supporting corrupt individuals, to start bagging them, Liberia will remain the way it is.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let me go to Mr. James David, if that's the person. Area code 717.
This is James David calling from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I don't really know when somebody's speaking about corruption. In past or present government, we always get people there to defend it. I swear, if I in the United States at the deportation level, I will deport any Liberian that calls say Liberian, okay, you will go back. As soon as I hear you calling, we'll send you back. To go lay down there, to go lay down in the best country, we're not corrupt. If you build a own country for the future, you don't want your country to be built for the future where somebody can then you'll be sinking behind there, you will go back. They will tell you no way to enter the United States of America, or even Europe. So you can enter the street and say in your country where being developed, where being looking good.
Thank God you don't have that power.
Yeah, if I have that power, you will work. Don't come to the University of Liberia. People are not going to school. The people, the students there, demonstrate all the time. They put their gas on what they pay. The faculty have meeting, but the meeting is not yet concluded. Also now there's no school. Nobody going to school, so they're wasting the other people time as well graduate. We're not thinking about graduation, even it was going to be in December, not moving in December, no, I'm in January either. Because the people haven't even start classes yet. Because the government, half of the people free school, then you can pay the school, the teachers. They don't go to the YA. You also owe YA, there's no graduation in high school until YA result come up. There's no YA instructions say they don't have the money. If the government not pay them, they will not get YA, but let them see, they're talking about this one. Then our sisters that were on the land tonight, defending CDC, all talking about development. Don't say like this. I know everyone convert to the letter. But all the technical universities and colleges, who built them? They were Ellen Johnson that built them. In the Fuller County. She didn't worry about building them. But is the technical college, they take it on by job? Well, no. Most of the colleges are not closing. Most of the buildings are closing because of conversion. And they're still saying, where is the evidence? Don't look at the COVID-19. Fund that is being collected from the border post. $75 you go, $75 you come. They even said, all of them will be paid $50, which is lie. I pay $75 again. Just for coming from everywhere. Big lie. No, they will pay $50.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
They don't look at the CTNC they collect from we that do shipping in Liberia. And they put, where is that money going? And you not pay that money. ARA can't give you a release to pay your money to the ARA. You got to pay that $350 CTNC first before ARA approve you to go pay that under the duty on your container.
Thank you, James.
Where is that money going?
Just wrap it up, sir.
You pay to individual bank, individual account, then they get on receipt before you go to ARA, before you do your paper, your teller release before you start paying on your container.
Thank you, James.
Is that corruption?
That's corruption. I agree.
Some people just come and just defend. Some people are even helping you. The way the other guy was talking, they don't let in our horses in America. Don't let in our horses in Liberia. I get horses in America too. If tomorrow I come in America, see me with $7 million it means I know our horses in America. If tomorrow I get 3 horses in Liberia, you see me with $10 million, I get horses just go all over the place. How you think about me when you leadership?
Thank you. Thank you, James. Thank you.
But the only one that have been corrupt to be built.
James, let's stay now. Thank you. Let me take my last caller, Mr. Jimmy Isben. Jimmy?
Hey, Mr. John, thank you very much. Good show, Mr. Sherif. As usual, Mr. Sherif, you bring up a lot of salient points. But, you know, the other caller mentioned how J.J. Roberts was corrupt. I don't want to defend anybody here, but I believe we need to really examine our history and know what actually happened and not assume. J.J. Roberts came over a wealthy man. He was a rich plantation son, and he came over with money. But I'm not here to defend it. But I do know we need to clear up a lot of history and misconceptions that we have of our past history. Because if you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
But I want to know what does Mr. Sherif offer as a remedy? Because when you're sitting down in America and people in Liberia trying to survive, it's easy to render criticism. But we want to see those people that are actively involved, actively trying to bring Liberia out of the poverty that we see. All our middle class is out in the diaspora. What is the diaspora doing for Liberia? What last has Mr. Sherif gone to Liberia and helped students and people there? I'm trying to say we have to take an active part in bringing our country up. The government cannot do everything. And a lot of it is going to really depend on the private sector and private individuals like Mr. Sherif, you and myself, to go back and impact and make a difference. So I'm asking, what is the remedy that Mr. Sherif offers for Liberian people to take a course to change the trajectory that we're on today? That's my question.
Thank you, Jimmy. Mr. Sherif.
Yeah. So, there's there's a lot to unpack with some of the callers going back in time to accusing even the first president of the Republic, J.J. Roberts, of being corrupt. So
sometimes
when
Mr.
you-
Sherif is a slang. They say, "Oh, since J.J. Robert time," but here, go
Right.
ahead, sir.
And sometimes it is if I do something, Dennis, and I get caught red-handed, and I would say, well, it's not just me, everybody doing the same thing. And that is the reason why we are where we're at. Just because Tubman did the thing that he did does not mean that George Weah can continue with it. Dennis, back in the 1960s, Tubman's birthday, Tubman's birthday did not start as a rotational event, but Grand Bassa County actually started it. So when they invited Tubman, and he went to Grand Bassa to celebrate his birthday. I forgot what year it was, but it was in the 60s. And they gave him a car as a gift. And then the next time around, Sino County vied to host the president's birthday. The president goes to Greenville. He took the whole entourage to Greenville, and everybody was in Greenville. So the people of Sino County, your county, Dennis, give the president a boat. That was a big deal. Oh, wow, Sino County has done it. So Maryland County, not to be outdone, said, okay, we're going to host our son's birthday, the next birthday. And Maryland County gave the president an airplane as a gift. So Tubman accepted all of these gifts. This is wrong. And just because Tubman did it in this grandiose manner, in this pomp and pageantry, while the people were suffering, does not mean that George Weah can perpetuate those retrogressive tendencies of the past era. But that is exactly what he's doing. You saw his birthday. So Mr. Eastman talked about what are you doing? We all have a responsibility. I'm sure Mr. Eastman is not in Liberia because it doesn't sound like he's in Liberia. So I will also ask, what is he doing for the Liberian people? I have done a lot. I have belonged to organizations here that have shipped medical supplies to Liberia. I have belonged to organizations here that have carried scholarships to Liberia. I, as an individual, have been able to send money to certain institutions in the interior of Liberia. For example, recently in Lofa County, I heard about a school somewhere in Lofa County where I've never traveled. And I heard about it. I contacted the individual who posted the information, and I immediately began a drive to collect stationery for the school. And I asked this individual, I'm not going to disclose this person's name right now because we're still working on some things. So I asked the individual to stay in touch with me so that on a larger level, we can then, we can see about, having some programs and development for the school. This is a place I've never been to. Meanwhile, I'm told that the representative for that area lived not far from that school building, that's leaking, that school building that has no doors. And so our ability to confront the flaws of Liberia should be celebrated by people like Mr. Eastman. But instead, everyone is trying to, what guys are doing around here is that they try to be very careful because everyone is thinking about getting jobs, right? People want to be ambassadors and ministers and deputy ministers, director of LPRC, director general of the Port Authority. I'm not looking for job.
Right. So
I'm
Mr.
independent.
Sherif,
So therefore, I am able to say the things that I'm saying now because I've divested myself of all personal interest. People like Mr. Eastman cannot say that, and some of the colors cannot say that, and that is the problem that we continue to have in Liberia. Until that happens, you're going to have criminals running the country down to the ground. This country is 174 years old. It is an outrage. Liberian people should be outraged that there are no good model roads. There are no running water. And all of the things that you find in other countries are not in Liberia currently.
Yeah, part of Jimmy's question was your solution.
Part of his question is my solution. My solution is that the Liberian people are going to have to make good decisions. Making good decisions during election is very important. I have said time and time and again, one of the solutions I have put forward, and I'm actually in agreement with the president on this one, is you start by reducing the presidential term of office. It is too long. I think the president should serve for 4 years, every 4 years, with a 2-term limit. The senators should serve for every 4 years with some limit. The members of the House of Representatives should serve for 2 years. So every 2 years, they should be up for election. The money is there. They're going to tell you, Dennis, that there's no money to do this. And yet they have money to travel to Paris. They have money to travel to the United States. They have money to take their girlfriends out of the country, sponsor them out of the country, take them for medical checkup. Some of them take their family members to China and other places. Some of them take their family members to Europe. Some of them travel to other West African countries just to party. And so people should be outraged. So one of the solutions is you begin by reducing the term of office. There should be term limits. Second, another solution is the Liberian public sector. I don't know if Mr. Eastman follows this show. It doesn't look like he follows Focus on Liberia.
He does.
People are paid astronomical amount of money for doing nothing, Dennis. The members of the Senate, the president pro tempore, is paid way better than the United States Senate pro tempore in the United States. The Speaker of the Liberian House of Representatives is paid way more than Nancy Pelosi. This is unacceptable. The Liberian people should be outraged that these people are fleecing the country. That is unacceptable. So someone tell me, in what country this is acceptable? How is this acceptable? And people are sitting here in America and somehow it's acceptable. It's fine that these guys can make over $30,000 a month. It's fine that, ArcelorMittal can give them brown envelopes. It's fine. It's fine that, when they go out there to run their campaigns, that these companies, these private companies can give them money, gifts, basically. It's fine with them. But you know what, Dennis? that is not fine with me. It is not fine with me, and it shouldn't be fine with anybody. The Liberian people should be outraged. And this is not just a George Weah thing. This is also members of the House of Representatives, the judiciary, and other cabinet members. So it's not just the president, it's everybody. Corruption is endemic in the Liberian society. And this is what I'm going to continue to talk about. I hope that others will continue to talk about it and also prescribe a solution for the best way forward.
Thank you. So given what we know now, and we're sorry that Constance, Mrs. Duopu, our guest, is not able to return. And but let's go into really what we're going to be talking about is George Weah's second term. Given the state of the economy, education, healthcare, and the overall conditions of most of the vulnerable among us, could President Weah be given a second term? Why or why not? But before you answer that question, let's play a little clip from the CDC party chairman, according to the global chairman.
I'm not going to hang my head about missing money because I know what happened to the money. But again, the president said we should give the investigative process a chance. So we'll give it a chance. But if I were called to testify, based on what I know, I would have told them that Milton Weeks by now should be sitting on prisoner's bench. Because Milton Weeks is the individual that gave the authorization for the printing of additional $10 billion that did not go through the legislature. A decision that was made without the involvement of key actors in the first branch of government. If I were asked to testify about the missing money, I would have asked Milton Weeks, how did the money leave the people of Monrovia? If I were asked to testify in this saga, I would have asked the central bank government.
Mr. Sherif, the global chairman said he knows about the 16 billion, but that's not. I just brought that to refresh our memory on, time flies. Remember 16 billion and 25 million?
Right.
But my question here is, knowing where we are as a country, should President Weah be given a second term?
And Dennis, what you heard there could have been said by an opposition political leader, right? So you heard that from a CDC supporter. So that answers those callers, CDC callers, George Weah supporters who are calling and want answers as to where is the evidence, right? So you have the chairman of George Weah's party basically saying he knows something about what went on and Milton Weeks should be in jail, right? So, but we've moved on now, right? As we've moved on with everything else. So that again is Liberia. Now, coming to your question regarding Weah's second term, at this time, the political opposition is in a sort of disarray. I think that there is a sense in the Unity Party and some of the other coalitions. I don't know. Liberty Party, although says they're still a part of the CPP coalition, but the synergy among the Unity Party and the Liberty Party has since dissipated. We know that for sure. And I think that there's a sense among Unity Party supporters that they can probably win the election without the ANC and without the Liberty Party. I would say that's a mistake. I think that you want to maximize your chance in 2023. You don't want to leave any party out.
Mr. Sherif, are you saying George Weah second term or not depends on the opposition? I'm not getting a clear answer as to.
I think so. I think that.
But in your view, let's without even mentioning the opposition, does George Weah deserve a second term?
Does he deserve a second term with all of what I have enumerated? I don't think so, Dennis. I mean, I don't think so. This is
Where's the
why
caveat?
I've gone through the trouble of enumerating all of the ills of his administration. He does not deserve a second term. However, we have to look at then the alternative. So the question is, if he does not deserve a second term, then what is the alternative? And that is the scary part about 2023. Right now, the alternatives that we have are not looking like the real alternatives that should succeed George Weah. But to directly answer that question, I don't think that Mr. Weah deserves a second term.
Right. And even though the CPP came on the scene and I don't want to say monopolized the opposition bloc, but there are other political parties and there are other individuals. In your view, who can do a better job compared to George Weah? Looking at all the political parties, political leaders, and alternatives that we have.
So I am almost like if there are any highly educated voters out there, I am like one of them. I am like one of them as well. The alternative is very few and far between. You see once in a while you see Dr. Cassell. Now, JNB it's a leader, is one of the top tier candidates. So it's really difficult to tell right now who can really be the alternative, because these guys, Dennis, are not communicating their vision to the Liberian people. So if you have to if you cannot communicate your vision, if you're not seen, you're not heard from, how is it that the Liberian people are going to make informed decision on who to vote for? So that's always going to favor George Weah if the opposition somehow is not communicating their vision to the Liberian people.
Thank you. We're glad to have Mrs. Constance Duopu back. Constance, we're almost out of time by the time you came.
I know.
If you may, please adjust your camera so that we can see. All right. So where we are now. Where we are now, with the 10 minutes we got left, is just looking at what we know today. The state of the economy, healthcare, the general condition of the people. Does George Weah deserve a second term? Why or why not?
Definitely, George Weah is the only way forward. We know that the opposition, they are not the alternative to the Liberian people problem. President George Weah is the only man who has the country at heart. One, you can see the developmental projects that he's undertaking. Road connectivity is the main important thing, the only way forward our economy. In order for Liberians to get out of poverty, we need our roads to be constructed, and the president is doing that. The only president who has thought it wise to build homes, low-income homes in rural areas, is Dr. George Weah. The only president who people say is not educated, but thought is why that he will build and make the University of Liberia tuition-free is President George Weah. Why wouldn't the Liberian people re-elect President Weah? That's the question. Who is next? Alexander Kunney, Buaka, they do not even have a constituent in the Republic of Liberia. They are not connected to the grassroots. They cannot even or communicate efficiently to the Liberian people. So I can tell you that hopefully 2023 will be a one shot. There'll be no 2-3 rounds. You see what happening? They cannot even hold together because they are all part. And the only reason why they have the coalition, the CPP, is because they want President Weah out. And that reason is no reason to come together. They are not coming together to improve the lives of Liberian people. They are not coming together to develop the country. They are only coming together for their own selfish reasons. And for that reason, they will be defeated flat.
Thank you. What we see there is the president and his new toy. But Mr. Sherif, also we have anytime we say opposition, people think JNB and ABC, that is Joseph Human Boakai and Alexander Cummings. Now there's a new kid on the block, Tiawan Gonglo. Does he have a shot against, or will you pick him over George Weah?
So Tiawan Gonglo has a history of fighting for civil rights. His life is full of fight for the downtrodden masses. Would that translate into his ability to govern a country of 5 million people? Certainly, he's better than what we have now. And so if I go to, if I went to the polls and I have to cast a ballot and I'm faced with the alternative of George Weah and Tiawan Gonglo, it's no brainer. So you have to look at a person's record. So Tiawan Gonglo to me is someone, listen, a lot of times I've disagreed with him on issues. There's some issues that he has not been able to step up. For instance, the Ganta land issue, I don't think he was on the right side in the Ghana land issue. I was disappointed in him. His position was very weak, to say the least. But he's a better alternative than what we have now. The challenges that people like Tiawan Gonglo has is, just resources to launch his campaign, resources to spread his message. I hope that he will have the time and enough resources to spread his message, because I do think he has a message that the Liberian people need to hear.
Thank you. Constance, let me come to you on ArcelorMittal. The deal, I think, from yesterday, I learned it was before the House of Representatives. I've not been able to follow up to see how they voted, but from what I heard, from what I read about the deal, it's a bad deal. Yet the president agrees with it and sent it to the House for approval. If you look at what is in the deal, like the railroad, the port of Buchanan, things that were in the agreement before before President Sherif came into office, and she took those out. Now, ArcelorMittal is putting them back. They want additional 25 years. And overall, the people who look at this critically say this is a bad deal. Yet the president is in favor of it. Many people, especially those in Nimba, Bazok, and Bong, are saying the president doesn't care. Does he?
The president cares. That's why he's the president of the Republic of Liberia. And if you are talking about the deal, or you say the president sent it to the House for them to approve it or whatever it is, you want to read the entire document in totality. You want to see when the issues that the company is now requesting, those resources, when Ellen took them out and got the money, what did she use that money for? That's the first thing. So if they are requesting that these things should come back, what would the money be used for? What are the differences? It's only because it's President Weah, then everybody there have this labor and armament, or are they looking at the Liberian people?
Right.
What is in there for the Liberian people? And now it's before the House of Senate. Let them go through it and make the judgment. That's what they elected the people. The president is just one person. I don't know why the entire country will not focus on the elected officials. They will not focus on even the citizens, their own right, their own commitment and contribution to their own society. Why are we divorcing ourselves, our citizens, from things that we should do, and we are trying to create this monster that does not exist?
Madam Chairlady, here is the thing. You look at ArcelorMittal, Yekepa, the America of Liberia, is unrecognizable. They don't build housing units. The people are living in containers, as you can see from the pictures there. The waters are all contaminated. So what they promised to build in 2 years, they have not built it. They want additional 15 years. So the company is not living up to its promises. They are not in compliance. But yet President Weah agrees with what they are asking for, sign on it, and he's sending it to the legislature. If he is the commander-in-chief, and whenever he's presented with this thing, he agrees, and he say, well, let the legislature do it because the president is just one person.
Dennis, that's the responsibility.
But what is
the
his
president looked
responsibility?
into the document. He saw there were issues. The thing is, we Liberians run with our emotions. Now, people are saying this because the thing is in their county. They are not looking at the entire country or what is in there for the entire country, but they are only saying, you calling Yekepa the America of Liberia. That's where it baffles me when people say Liberia was better. What do you mean when people were living in those tight houses, I don't know, 3 by 4 rooms in Yekepa, and you talking just because they have electricity? The number of resources they extracted from that country, the number of resources Lamco took for Liberia, what did they build there? And you call it the America of Liberia. What I'm saying, the president is doing everything to develop our country. You have people that signed bogus deal in the past. You call
Constance Yekepa was not like this before. Yekepa was not like this. But anyway,
in fact, when you talk about Yekepa was not like this, have you been to those horses that were in Yekepa, even what we call normal days? Those things that look like they run down or low income homes. They were living in those 6 by 3 bedrooms. When you're in the other room, you hear everything that's going on just because they have electricity. No. You see, that's the double-sided game that Liberian people, you're turning blind eyes and you're only focused on President Weah. You have a country, the mountain, the iron ore. They took everything and they left those 3 I don't know, zinc or cylinder homes people were living in and they thought they were in America. That's not America. Yekepa is nothing compared to America. Yekepa, you can compare it to downtown Minneapolis. The only thing they be able to clean, when you look at the horses, what were the porches? You come from outside, you go straight in the house. Is that what you people really call development in Liberia?
It depends which area in Yekepa. Maybe you're talking about area N. If you went to but anyway, let's leave that.
If you even make that analysis, then you're not being fair to the Liberian people.
But Constance,
to say the America of Liberia.
But Constance, there was a 24-hour electricity that was running water.
That's what you call
hold on. The schools. It's the system.
You've been, I'm sorry to say that you are being short-sighted. If you say because you have 24-hour electricity, what's about the rest of the country?
No. I'm talking about Yekepa. I'm comparing Yekepa then and Yekepa now.
That's not development. Because people benefited from everything and they had Yekepa and the entire country were in poverty. And now you are going to say that, Yekepa is the small America. No, Yekepa was just South Minneapolis.
All right. What I'm saying, we are talking about ArcelorMittal. So Yekepa under Lamco, and now Yekepa under ArcelorMittal. So I'm saying, if you look at the conditions now in Yekepa, Area O is no more, as I learned.
Okay,
The C school
then
now is
if you
warehouse.
want to look at
Last
the condition under which Yekepa Lamco operated, when Liberia was a virgin, the iron on the mountain, everything was there. They took everything from there. So you cannot compare that era to what Liberia is now.
all right,
We just came from Civil War.
30 years
You
ago.
want to make that comparison? Compare what Eddie Johnson did with all the awards that they gave her.
Thank you. My last question to you here before we draw down the curtains is the president. We have not been able to hear from the president. It is almost the end of the year. Is the president going to have a press conference anytime soon? Or will we say his sermon at the Fokekron Church should suffice?
Liberian people, most of you, the Facebook politician, you got a problem. The problem you have is you focus on the things that do not yield any results. The president coming to talk to you, and then after the talk, you just go. The president is busy working. Deliverables, that's what the Liberian people need. Who can help the economy? That's what he's focused on. He's not focused on Alexander Cummings coming, passing around, going to party in people's basement, or Joseph Waka passing, going around in some or OLM office, and people say, oh, that's what the president should. The president is not dancing to Facebook politicians' demand. The president was elected for a piece of job, and that's what he's going to focus on. Rural connectivity, taking Liberians out of poverty, educating our children. There is no more wire fee for people to cry. The president took care of that. You go to the University of Liberia, tuition are paid. That's why you don't see those students, they make no or student politics interesting, because the things that used to make them to cause loss, their things do not exist. No problem are no more. You understand? The president coming to Jeka, yes, the president will speak to his people when it's time for him to speak to them. If it is not time, there's nothing to be said to them. He's not just going to come and just talk to them. He's busy building the rubber fee highway. That is more important than coming to talk to CPP people that just all over the place with confusion and fighting. They are not the alternative to the Liberian people. Dennis, the president is busy working for the Liberian people.
Thank you. But for information, the university, I don't think it's open now because the teachers have no pay because free tuition is not really free. What is put in the budget for free tuition doesn't go far enough. So the students are in solidarity with the teachers, and so they started to demonstrate and say no school.
Let me address that for you.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me finish. And then Minister Samuel Tuwe promised that the president was going to give us a press conference before the year ends. We have 15 days for the year to be over. Is the president going to talk to the people of Liberia, or is sermon at the Fokekron Church enough?
When President Togba used to go to the Baptist church to preach, I guess the Winstonsons and the US did not have problem with that.
No,
but
I'm saying
you have problem with somebody going to church and praising God, knowing that life is short. I find it's very, very disturbing when I see people making this kind of comment. You never one day said talk about went to the Baptist church to preach and you have problem with that. No, you would be the same person.
He gave a press release. I mean,
no, everybody has their own leadership style. That's one thing you people fail to realize. Because he's not from your quote unquote or political dynasty, so you just think everything he does is no, he's not going to dance that drum to the Facebook politician. He's going to do the Liberian people job. When it's time for him to deliver a speech, when he has something to say to the Liberian people, he will speak to his people and they will be hungry and eager to listen to him. If he doesn't have anything to say to them, he's going to keep working. So going around giving speeches does not solve the Liberian people problem. It doesn't in any way. Just going and talking. doesn't solve any problem. It doesn't put food on the table. It doesn't build the roads. It doesn't put electricity in the country. The president is busy trying to connect the entire country. You are from Duopu, I don't know how far is that. You never saw car road up to now. The president is trying to take pavement and quota to your hometown, Venetia, that you will drive from Greenville straight to your city. That's what the president is focused on. He's not focused on just coming and giving speeches like Charles Taylor used to do, and then nothing else. At the end of the day, he said, "My mouth is not prayer book." And if that was the Liberian, the common Liberian man is not interested in that. This president is the people's president, and believe me, come 2023, President Weah will be re-elected, and CCP and all you opposition, we're going to look and say, hey, President Weah again going to bring development to the Liberian people. You don't want development, you're going to force it down your throat. Liberia is the oldest country in our region, and Liberia must be developed.
Thank you. There's a standoff at the Lofa Bridge, and let me take a look. So I call that the police versus the country devil, right? And there is the police said, country devil, if you don't leave the bridge, we're going to remove you forcibly. Do you think President Weah wants to be remembered as the one who fought the country devil with guns? And the background coming from was Tubman was part of this same country society. Doe was Tanu, Taylor was Dakbana. Do you think President Weah wants to be remembered as the one who removed the country devil using the police?
Oh, Dennis, that question, if you say it, the country devil also know that there are laws and rules that govern a nation. And so if the president is the head of that country, the president will do what is necessary to protect the entire country, not just one group of people.
Thank you. Mr. Sherif, about the president's speech and the sermon at Fokeklosh, is that enough for us?
No, that's not enough, Dennis. And to just go back to a ArcelorMittal issue in Yekiba, Mrs. Gonglo Weah has been on this show and other outlets, giving us insight into what's going on. And some of the things that she has said, she has expressed, are very revealing. For instance, that the company doesn't really care about ordinary employees. The higher ups, drink mineral water, while the ordinary employees drink water full of lead, and that is very devastating when you look at what's going on. So this is a company that's owned by a billionaire. So they don't care about the ordinary people. Who is the fighter for the ordinary Liberian people? The president should champion that cause. If the president is not championing that cause, then it leads me to believe that the president is in cahoot with big business to deprive the Liberian people of their rights and liberties. So yeah, back to your question, the president needs to make himself available to the Liberian people. The president needs to have pressers. He needs to have press conferences, not just once in a while, from the airport, and some journalists stand there and give you two questions. The president actually needs to have an organized press conference on a consistent basis. But you know what, Dennis, what's going on is this president is not comfortable in front of the media. That's why the president doesn't give press conferences. During the presidential election, he doesn't do debate very well. But I think that his strength, his life story is his strength. He needs to communicate to the Liberian people time and again. If people have forgotten, George Weah needs to come to the Liberian people and say to the Liberian people, hey, I'm that guy, that one black man who won the World Player of the Year. I'm that guy who used to come back time and again during the Civil War and spread the message of peace. I'm the same guy. I've not deviated. I'm that guy who can save you. His problem is, and people around him don't tell him what he doesn't want to hear. So they always tell him, even if he's not communicating, they say to him, he's great. You are doing great. You are the best ever since sliced bread. This is disingenuous on the part of those around the president. People should stop lying to him. People should stop making him feel that he's doing the right thing. They need to tell him, you have a life story. Your biography is very, very, you have an outstanding biography in Liberia. So you need to communicate that to the Liberian people. But instead, they're going to tell him everything he does is fine. Even if he's going to Ghana to party, they say it's fine. If he's going to Nigeria to party, not on any presidential trips, because this president has gone to Ghana uninvited to Accra. And his supporters say it's fine. Where in the world that's acceptable? These aren't acceptable. And people around him are culpable. They need to stop. It's not acceptable what they're doing.
Thank you. Hold on, Constance. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll read comments, and then you come in with your rebuttal. We almost out of time here. So we'll take a short break and we'll be back.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Welcome back to Focus on Liberia. This is Tough Talking Thursday. My guest, Madam Constance Duopu. She is the chairperson of CDC USA. And few comments here I wanted to share before. Lawrence Parr say, I'm a big fan of Mr. Weah, but he has demonstrated a lack of good governance and his vision for his country. He needs a good publicity manager, not Mr. McGill. Ben Grant Tauber always had press conferences. He engaged the press. Leadership style, yes, but there is a trend, or there is a bare minimum expected, and president is failing to this. Anthony C., you are the one heartless because all you want to hear about Liberia is negativity. If you have low self-esteem, you won't get it today. Anthony is probably. And then Darling what we say, the president got a big fat envelope from ArcelorMittal. That is his MO. All right. Sebastian, we are the Ellis Comic sponsor platform looking for talks to run with. That's from Sebastian. Darling says, Sherif, I think you are wrong. Does anyone need to judge Weah that it is wrong for he alone to take $24 million out of the budget? Judge Weah doesn't know that it is wrong for him to have $500,000 in the budget for his stationaries. Joseph Conto, well, this is even happening in the opposition now. Some of them say they just don't speak, but when they speak, people listen. What a myth. Mrs. Duopu, go ahead.
Mr. Mohamed Sherif, I would like to clarify one or two things. You said it right. The president has a compelling story. He told his story all over the world. People are wishing and longing to always meet our president. Only the Liberian people, the opposition Liberian, that don't want to hear this president. But every other person around the world, his story resonates with everybody. Came from a humble background, and now he is the president of the Republic of Liberia. The president coming out and speaking does not cut the cake. The president is a grassrooter. His followers are grassrooters. His story resonates with every boy, girl, old lady, woman, child in that country and out of that country. All I'm going to say to you tonight is that the conditions under which Liberia and this president is operating and the things he's accomplishing, no president has done that. Not even the goddess, I don't like to say much about Ellen because I'm a female, the darling could not accomplish what he has accomplished. She could not, with all the millions. All people want to hear about is negativity about their own country. And after that, then they turn around the country. How? You have a President Charles Taylor that slaughter and murder your entire population. All you people do, you hail him and call him hero. When you look at a peace ambassador, President George Manuel Weah, and you call him names. I'm sorry to say, come 2023, the Liberian people will decide because they know who has the country at heart.
Thank you. This is an ad for Kana Cash. You can send money to Africa. It's safe, it's legal, and it's easy. The contact number is there, 800-933-7871. The cell is 301-300-7121. If you want to send money to Liberia, easy, use Kana Cash. All right. At this time, our time is fast spent. We're going to go on to the last segment of our show, which is our Tabata session. Every week, there's some Tabata going on somewhere in Liberia. Tabata in Southeastern language means nonsense. Let me start with Mr. Sherif. What's your Tabata of the week?
I'm going to spare George Weah and his supporters. They had the heartache tonight. I'm going to go international. Maybe that put them at ease a little bit. So international, Gambia had an election on December the 4th. So it was a shocking defeat for the opposition leader Usenu Dabo and his UN, it's UDP party. And so, mind you, he's the benefactor of the current president. He was the reason why the current president, Barrow, became president in the first place. So he was going against, his political son, so to speak. So Barrow defeated Dabo. And so Dabo is a long-time opposition leader. He's an activist. He's in his mid-70s now. So right after the election, when the results were declared, Dabo, an accomplished lawyer himself, instead of conceding defeat, and mind you, I was very sympathetic to the UDP. Instead of conceding defeat, he caused other opposition candidates to say that the result was fake. But as a lawyer, he did not produce any evidence. There was no shred of evidence that was presented by these lawyers to say that the election result was fake.
So quickly, Mr. Sherif, what's the Tabata?
That to me is the Tabata of the week.
Thank you. We'll go to we ask for this money sending app, Kana Cash. It's right there. Spencer Bia is the chief executive officer, and Liberians are doing so well now. No more we're depending on Western Union, MoneyGram. They'll block you. They say you can't send money. You can do that easily through Kana Cash, and tell them the well-rounded host Dennis Jar send me. Constance, what is your Tabata of the week?
Democratic Party. In Liberia, the confusion in the hierarchy of the party is complete Tabata. People who say they are the alternative to the Liberian people problems, and here they are fighting amongst themselves. The hierarchy, the leadership, confusion, total chaos, turmoil. That's the Tabata of the week, and the Liberian people should take a note, make a mental note to themselves that these people are incompetent to lead our people.
Thank you. My Tabata of the week is Judge Weah in his new toy, right? Even those of us that never earn up to 200,000 a year, or even in our lifetime, when you get to a certain stage, certain things are beneath you. If Judge Weah as president is still showing off with cars, to me, that's complete Tabata. Grow up, Mr. Weah.
Grow up, Dennis Jah. Mr. Weah has the right to own anything. Mr. Weah has worked so hard when you were in Duopu weekend. Mr. Weah was working, taking Liberia places, and it's time for Mr. Weah to enjoy what he has worked for.
All right, yeah, and that's my point, right? Because at the time I was in Duopu walking 1 hour to get to school, maybe he was making money, but no, that was not the case. Mr. Weah was in Gibraltar at that time too. But the point is, since he made all the money and was this big rich man, and he had all the wealth, should he still be bluffing with a car as if he never drove a car before? That to me is Tabata. Let me go to our audience. Let me go to our audience to get their Tabata. Flomo Livingston say, my Tabata is this government can't name a development that they have accomplished. Let's go to Alexander Hayes. My Tabata is the sedition lady telling us all we need is ground connections and he building road. But if there was no road, how we know those towns she named, including your town, Dennis Jah? By the way, there is a road that came to my town in Duopu in 1989. Edward Komosako was in the, I was not there by then, but Edward Komosako went there and that was initiated and the road was established. So there's been a road there. Right now, to get to Sino County, you must be prepared to travel for weeks. And now President Weah is like making fun. It's like he has not realized that he's the president of the country. You know, just like DeLong, who went into first class and started to show off, President Weah is showing off in a toy, in his new toy, as if this matter more than being president of a country. That's to me is complete Tabata. Let's go around the room and get your closing comments. Let me start with you, Mr. Sherif. Let's get your closing comment, then we go to our guest.
Yeah, Dennis, I will start my closing comment with your Tabata of the week. That the picture of the president sitting in a slingshot, that, you know, hybrid auto and motorcycle, should never have made it on social media. It should never have made it anywhere. That is beneath, as you mentioned, that is beneath the president of the Republic of Liberia. And yet we see this and people are reacting to this. This is what people are reacting to. You know what we should be reacting to, what we should have been reacting to? We should have been reacting to the president at a road construction site. The president at the University of Liberia giving a speech at my alma mater, Lux in Tenebris. Now Lux in Tenebris, which stands for light and darkness, now Lux in Tenebris has now turned to Tenebris and Tenebris, darkness and darkness under this administration. Right now, teachers are not getting paid. You talk about free education. What kind of republic do we want as Liberian people? Whether you're independent, whether you belong to a political party, 2023, the Liberian people have a decision to make. And the decision is whether we go forward or we go backwards 100 years. I think the decision should be going forward. We have to look forward. We have to go forward. If going forward is our goal and desire, then the Liberian people have to make that decision in 2023. It can't be status quo. Status quo is unacceptable.
Thank you. Let me go to our guest, Mrs. Duopu.
Thank you, Mr. Jack, for you having me on your show today. Thank you very much to you and your staff, your team of leadership for reaching our people and spreading the message. My departing comment tonight is I want to say to you, to the Liberian people, those who having us in their homes, thank you for watching. I just want to say, come 2023, the way forward, Liberia being the oldest country in West Africa, after 170 years, 170 years, nothing Liberia has to show to people, but only talk. 2023, come let us re-elect President George Manuel Weah because he is the way forward for Liberia when it comes to development, when it comes to keeping the peace, when it comes to unity, when it comes to delivering our people out of poverty. All that we need is time. You have a country that been in existence for 170 years, and you think in 3 years, this president will just sweep and resolve all the problems. That is very unreasonable, and I see that is unfair, Mr. Sherif, to come down here, to come down with your harsh judgment on the president. Think you as an individual, you cannot accomplish in 3 years. You expecting the president to accomplish that in the country in 3 years, a country that is as old as 170 years. That is unfair. The Liberian people will speak come 2023 and President Weah will be re-elected. There is no alternative. No one. CPP, Buaka coming, they do not have the country ahead. Even Tiawa Gogo that you're talking about, name how many organizations, how many persons, what history of success you have to compare to this president. 2023 is a one round and Dr. Weah will be re-elected. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tomorrow, Friday at 6 o'clock, we're going to have the literary hour. They will continue part 2 about the Cape Maserati, the purchase of Cape Maserati. Then Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have the FOL Marketplace. They're going to be talking about this whole thing about sanctions, about the Magnitsky Act, the economic part of it. That's what we're going to be talking about. Then Saturday night, Liberty Party in crisis. Anthony Sear will sit down with Liberty Party partisan, Mr. George Kanentule, right here on Focus on Liberia. You don't want to miss that. Well, I want to thank both of you for coming tonight. I want to also thank our audience, our viewers, for staying with us, always on Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We're now going to end with our closing song that says, whether you believe Judge we are going to win a one-round victory, or you believe he doesn't deserve a second chance, we are all Liberians, and each of us must do our part to make Liberia that glorious land of liberty. Good night, and God bless.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our